Everyone, welcome back to another episode of our student athlete interviews. This is a series where we interview various athletes at all levels in various sports to get some inside input about their recruiting process or days in their lives. Today's guest is Maya Wilkins. She is a rising sophomore at Towson University and she plays softball. Get Maya in here.
Hey, Katie.
Hi Maya, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just get right into it. When did you start playing softball and what made you start playing softball?
I was like 8 years old, and my older cousin, I usually followed like whatever sport she was doing at the time.
Yeah.
And she was doing softball, so I was like, I'll give it a try, and I was pretty good at it. So
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. So you started at a pretty young age. Did you have any favorite players or role models while you were growing up?
when I was growing up, it was kind of just basically like I was doing good at the time. Like I would pick a favorite player from the roster, but usually it's my cousin.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like a role model for you that you knew too. So at starting such a young age, when did you know that playing in college was going to be an option for you? When was like that point where you're like, okay, this is what I want to do and I can actually make that happen?
I want to say it was about like I was 14 and I just found out what showcase ball was. And so then I was like, oh, like this is how I could actually play in college and be like one of the top players and stuff like that.
And at that 14-year-old age, did you know like that I wanted like softball is my sport, there's no other sport, or that you still playing other sports?
I knew that like right when I started playing softball, like all the other sports I tried, I was not good at all. So as soon as I started
that's
playing,
awesome.
it was kind of
Yeah. So, what was your recruiting process like to Towson specifically?
Specifically, it was every single camp and everything that they had, and we just built a relationship, and then it was just kind of from there, and it kind of fell into place.
Yeah. And were you like during this process, were you still talking to other coaches, or were you set on this school?
I was still talking to like a few other coaches, like while I was talking to Towson, but I had like a list, and Towson was definitely my top choice. So
and what made Towson? So what made Towson your top choice? Like, what was it about them that made you knew you wanted to go to this school? Like, this is why you chose it. What was that thing for you?
I really liked the layout of the school, and I also liked the location because it's not too far from my house, so it was like far enough but not too far.
For sure.
And I just really enjoyed I enjoyed the psychology program, even though that's not my major anymore, but I just really enjoyed all of the academics also.
So after having your freshman year, what would you say the biggest change from high school to college was, both in the classroom academically and on the field athletically?
In the classroom academically, it was definitely that the teachers aren't going to push you as hard as they do in high school. So you have to kind of build like more internal motivation instead of like external motivation. But you get used to it because then you're like, oh, I can't let my grades slip. So it's pretty easy to keep up with. And then on the field, it just became a lot faster. So you just basically had to keep up. But it gets easier over time.
Yeah, for sure. So with like all of these different changes, how did you balance your academics and having softball and lift and practice and all that?
It was actually really hard, but like just keeping up with my teammates, and that helped me keep up with myself and my schedule. So it was kind of just like whatever my teammates are doing, I need to be doing that because it's obviously the way it's flowing here.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So your first year was during a pandemic. What was it like having practices your first year during this whole COVID pandemic?
It was kind of hard, definitely, because you could only talk to your team at Towson, so then you could stop the spread. So only being able to have our small bubble was kind of hard for me because I really like socializing and like going home and stuff. So that was a hard part, but having my team there was really good for me. So it was
Definitely good. Yeah.
both good and bad.
Yeah, for sure. And then what would you say your greatest accomplishment as an athlete has been? Like whether it's from Towson getting there or when you were 6 years old, like what would you say your overall greatest accomplishment is?
I would say my greatest accomplishment is just being able to say I am a D1 athlete
Yeah,
because the training and everything, getting to become a D1 athlete is really hard. So I think that's my greatest accomplishment.
yeah, making it where you are now, for sure. Huge accomplishment. And then to kind of wrap things up, do you have any advice for student athletes that are maybe going through this recruiting process or wondering what they should do to get to that collegiate level? What would you say to them?
I would say to always work hard and always like give your full effort into whatever you're doing. Even if you do mess up, just go all the way out and don't give up. Like even if it is like your senior year, I didn't get recruited until late in my senior year. So just don't give up because everything will fall into place. Everything will happen for a reason. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having
Great
me.
meeting you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. See ya.
Bye.